6 of us went down into the pit. Only one crawled out. I am Eris the Last. I have seen what the Hive call a god. Welcome back, Guardians. Today on All Things Lore, we're going to talk about the honorable Fireteam that lost their lives in the Hellmouth. This is a tale of love and loss, but mostly vengeance, and the obstacles we take to achieve it, even if it means death. This is the hunt for Crota. Our story begins on a distant battlefield, where an old grudge was rekindled. Centuries had passed since the Guardians came into contact with the Hive, and when they did, a great battle erupted between the two species. This was the Battle of Burning Lake. The exact records detailing the battle have been lost. All that can be said is that the Guardians barely managed to pull off a victory. Shortly after the battle, a meeting was held between the Speaker and the Vanguard to determine the next best course of action against the Hive. Regrettably, a decision was made by the consensus to launch a full-scale assault on Luna. However, Lord Shax requested that the Vanguard did more research on the Hive before initiating the attack. Sadly, though, they denied his request, and a grand army was deployed on Mar Ebrium. What happened next cannot be described as a battle, but a massacre. One by one, thousands of Guardians were slain in battle by the Blades of Crota, a unique group of Hive Knights. It is often implied that the sky above the region turned into green fire. This event is remembered throughout human history as the Great Disaster. There were many Guardians who survived the events of the Great Disaster. One of them was the Warlock of the Praxic Order, Ariana III. After interrogating a wizard, Ariana was able to uncover many secrets of the Hive, including the name of the mastermind who was pulling the strings. His name was Crota, the Eater of Hope and the Crown Prince of the Hive. Through the eyes of her captive, Ariana foresaw the fate of her friend and lover, Wing, a Titan who was killed by Crota himself during the Battle of Mar Ebrium. After a long period of grief, Ariana swore vengeance against the Hive Prince, who took everything from her. With the help of the hunter Eris Morn, Ariana searched for clues on how to kill Crota, but was unsuccessful. So they sought out the one man who was an expert in Hive arcana, Toland the Shattered. The name Toland is known to everyone who has played Destiny and Destiny 2. His story is very sad and yet unusual, but we'll save the story of Toland for another video. After meeting Toland, he revealed to the two Lightbearers that Crota was a mere shadow that existed in our world. Meaning, his very existence, his very soul, was bound to his throne world. In theory, if you were able to pass through the Ascendant Plane and kill Crota within his throne world, Crota would die a permanent death. Toland also warned them of the dangers they could face in the Yawning Abyss, including the particular song that was sung by the Death Singers. Even though Ariana was disturbed by Toland's obsession, she and Eris enlisted him for this mission. Ariana asked 3 more Guardians to join her on this mission: Omaraga, Sai Mota, and Vel Tarlo. Remember these names, for in due time, they will have a role to play in the end. Whether it is good or bad, that remains to be seen. When the Fireteam landed on Luna, they made their way to the Temple of Crota. Unexpectedly, they were met by a swarm of Hive lying in wait, one might say. Once the Fireteam fought their way inside the temple, they were ambushed by Verak, the consort of Alakhul, the Dark Blade. Amongst the chaos, Vel Tarlo was the first to fall, as he was overrun by the Hive, and the light was drained from his body. Unfortunately, the 5 remaining members pressed on with the mission. As they fought their way through the dark catacombs, screams reverberated within the tunnels. These were the screams of Omnigul, the will of Crota. According to Toland, if Omnigul was destroyed, then Crota's reign in the physical world would end. And so our heroes plunged deep beneath the Hellmouth, listening to the echoing screams as they went. It was a little while later that Ariana and Sai got separated from Eris, Omar, and Toland whilst fighting the hordes. Allow me to recount the circumstances that transpired to both parties. Ariana and Sai tried to locate the others, but their efforts were futile. Suddenly, they heard the distant screams of Omnigul getting closer and closer. Without backup and their light beginning to wane, they stood their ground. Sai, however, would die a gruesome death by the hands of Omnigul, and Ariana helplessly retreated. Meanwhile, both Omar and Toland had disappeared, leaving Eris alone in the dark. Presently, Eris thought that Omar was dead, but then she heard his unmistaken screams. She followed them to a dark cavern, and what she saw was a frightful sight. She encountered the broken body of Omar Aga among the cocoons and freshly spawned hordes. He was being tortured by the heart of Crota. Using hive magic, the depraved monster was peeling away the light from his body. Screaming in agony, Omar's light was fed to the newly born hive creatures. The rest is unknown, but we can assume that Omar died. Or did he? Toland managed to slip away from Eris and Omar in his pursuit of Ir Yut, the Death Singer. Upon meeting Ir Yut, they exchanged pleasantries. Toland even defined himself as a friend, and Ir Yut sang her death song. Toland's body was completely destroyed, but somehow his soul lived on, between life and death. Ariana, bruised and lightless, managed to make her way to the bottom of the Hellmouth. It is said that there was no point in raising her, so she recorded her final message and sent her ghost Jax to where Naywing fell. It is unknown what happened next, but we can assume that Ariana made it to the Oversoul throne, and it is there that she died an honorable death. Eris was the last surviving member of her Fireteam. Her ghost would depart and wither, leaving her an empty shell, drained of her light. Eris still retained the bone of an Ahamkara, which she had long possessed since the Great Hunt. It would guide her through many tunnels. She would spend many moons down in the darkest pits of the Hellmouth. Eventually, Eris escaped the Hellmouth and returned to the last city. Her preoccupation with destroying Crota marked her as an outcast, for she had developed an unhealthy fascination for the Hive. Sometime later, Eris became fond of a newly risen guardian. You know which one I'm talking about. And they triumphed in ways she didn't think was possible. This same guardian would destroy all of Crota's noble disciples and put a stop to the Hive ritual. After careful selection, another Fireteam was formed, and just like the last, they would open the gates of the Hellmouth and attempt to kill Crota. Can they succeed when their predecessors could not? That, my dear viewers, is the right question. Anyway, Guardians, that's going to be it for me. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and comment down below. If you're new and you wish to promote the channel, don't be shy to hit that subscribe button. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to the artists who contributed to this video. Gabriele Cuscino, Gammatrap, Jessica Germey, Andrew Soman, Joshua Hardie, Azlaars, Matt Hubel, Primo Genitor 34, Plastic Bridge, Victoria D, and Lurch the. For more information on their social accounts, make sure to check them out in the description below. Until our next chapter, thanks for supporting All Things Lore. See you soon!